winery. But can anyone answer the question, why is basket pressing a better approach for this particular winemaker? Softer on the grape, yeah? Yeah, so yeah. And so it allows, I guess, better flavour to come out of the grapes. She talked about the lighter wine coming first and then some of the more tannic wine that comes through. She talked about also the need for patience. And so if you're running a commercial winery like one of those conglomerates and you've got margins, you've got stakeholders, you've got investors, can you afford to be patient? Probably not. Or maybe only on a particular brand, but for the most part you're just going to use the efficient modern technique. So what she was talking about there, being patient, using small parcels of fruit. I think she used parcels, which is that going back to the vineyard again. From this lot, this parcel, we're going to treat it really special. So that's just a really quick. You could go to and check out the rest of that video later. But that's just a little bit of insight about some of the production. We're also seeing fermentation occurring. Stainless steel is the modern way, but wood, concrete, ceramic eggs, and even goat's hide, which is a really funky way of making natural wines. But anyway, we won't go into that. But then the wine sees either time in some French oak or American oak to provide some extra tannin and some extra structure, or often wine is unoaked. And many of you may actually prefer unoaked Chardonnay, for example. Here's the gift list. So if you're really happy with my performance as a lecturer, please feel free to gift me one of these. I'm only joking, but these are some of the fabulous wines, very, very well known in Australian circles and globally. The top row is all Shiraz. We've got the Grange, we've got the Hill of Grace, we've got Clarendon Hills, we've got the Dead Arm, which is actually, I'll explain that at some other point, in Torbreck. We've got St Henri, which is another Penfolds Shiraz. But then we've also got a classic Australian blend called the Yalumba, the signature. I tried that in Adelaide, and as much as I could, it tasted great. But then we've got just some other wines here. Down the bottom, we've actually got some Chardonnay. And I mentioned before about the Hunter Valley being pivotal. The VAT 47 Hunter Chardonnay was a major landmark in Australian wine. We've also got some Margaret River wines there too. But that's just something for your reference if you are giving gifts. In fact, someone asked me, because they know I like wine, they said, I'm about to leave the university for a great job. And I actually wanted to thank, because they did a PhD here, so they wanted to thank their supervisors and their bosses through the time. And they said, can you recommend some wines? And I said, that's a really, that'd be an honour to. So he gave me a budget of $400 to buy 6 wines. So I thought, that's a nice budget. But I'm glad I asked this question. I said, are the recipients of this wine older? And do they value tradition? Or are they younger, and do they value entrepreneurship and innovation? And he says, oh, they're definitely the first group, tradition, and they're a bit older. And so then I bought him things like Penfolds and some of these classic brands. But when it comes to gift giving, you've got to match it with the person's taste and the person's preferences. Personally, I really wouldn't want to receive these wines. Maybe the Hill of Grace, but I'm much more about the entrepreneurship and the innovative winemakers, interesting wines that have a real backstory. And we'll talk about those shortly. But here are some of the classic regions. Again, I don't think it's that useful to go through them now, but these are representative regions. In Japanese, they call it daihoteki, which is representative of a particular, they talk about representative food. And the Japanese are very good at saying, oh, this is the best place for rice. Niigata rice is the best place for rice. I'm thinking, come on, it's rice. But they go, no, Niigata rice. And this place is good for gyoza. So this is like an Australian cheat sheet for you to go, all right, if I'm looking for a Merlot in Australia to give as a gift, go here to this page, or Sauvignon Blanc or whatever is your preference.